everyone, and welcome to the newest PlayStation podcast on the block, Talking the PS, where myself and my lovely co-host round up all of the cloud gaming and PlayStation news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games, or up there in the digital cloud on your podcast preference of choice. We've got a fantastic panel, we've got a fantastic show, and we can't wait for you all to join us on this exciting venture as we delve into the brand new world of PlayStation Plus and cloud gaming with some beautiful new faces. You're joining myself, Chris, the host of the Sounds of Stadia podcast and one of the members of the Helix Cloud Games family, alongside my man of many pixels himself, Mr. Richie.
You know what, we've been teasing the show for quite a while, so I'm finally excited to be sat down recording it.
I am. I'm quite nervous, actually. And we're joined by two of our really good friends. We introduced them in the channel update that will have went live earlier on at the end of last week. And I'm, of course, joined by... introducing for the first time ever, I'm going to call him the Trophy Tickler, because that's the name I want to dub him.
Wow.
Whether he likes it or not. Introducing at Platinum Jangus, our trophy hunter friend himself. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Super excited, guys. It's really been looking forward to it. The trophy tickler, though, don't know how I feel about that.
We can workshop it later.
Hey, no one else likes being tickled that way either.
It's a work in progress.
It is indeed. And alongside him, our chaotic neutral, as well as I think your gamer tag shows off, Rob. Our another great friend, Rob, joining us for some more PlayStation chatter. How are you doing, Rob? Welcome to the show.
Really good. I'm happy I didn't have Tickler in my name. So off to a good start, right?
Off to a great start. Fantastic. Of course, anyone who's familiar with our content, we bring you the Sounds of Stadia podcast. Over 140 episodes are available right now on the channel. We've also got over 70 episodes of our CloudQuest show, which is our topical discussion off the beaten path of gaming, where we go a little bit deeper into gaming conversation. We also have live streams, fest looks. We've got a vibrant Discord community, so if you are out there, you're a gamer, you're a like-minded individual like all the people on this panel, join in the description below and find some fellow players to game with and chat about all week long, all day, every day. We also need to do a very special shout out to our Helix Heroes, the amazing people who support the channel. There are members on our YouTube channel who, without their support and love, this show wouldn't be possible. The amazing intro you just seen at the beginning and all the other content that we try and bring you the best level of quality on wouldn't be happening without your continued support. So thank you to over 50 of you out there who do support the channel as a Helix Hero member. But, gentlemen, we are here. It's finally happening. We have a PlayStation podcast talking the PS. Of course, nice play on words. We won't be taking the piss that much, but we are talking the PS. Breaking down all of the PlayStation news. And what a freaking week for PlayStation news, everyone. We've had Summer Games Fest. Jeff Keighley has been out there doing his best, selling his wares, pimping himself out to the world of video games. And we've got so much news from State of Plays. Xbox Showcase actually brought some PlayStation goodness as well. In amongst that, we've had Capcom showcases, Final Fantasy showing off, and much, much more. But before we do get into all that, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of the cloud gaming content that we bring you here on Helix Cloud Games, and much, much more. But gentlemen, we will spend some time eventually through the course of the show, I imagine, breaking down our PlayStation histories and stuff. But it's such a juicy week for news. We want to just get straight into it. We want our audience with us to just get straight into it. So, Richie, on our other podcast, we have a nice little tongue twister to introduce the news. Yep. You're the man who always does the honours, so if you will, sir, introduce us to
the properly prepared PlayStation perusing points, aka
the news. That's right. We brought it back. We're keeping it. Our little news segment. Jeff, do you think you could say that? Is that a tongue twister for you?
I don't know. I might need to hear it a few more times, I think, to get that down.
How about you, Rob? How are you with a tongue twister?
Yeah, give me a few weeks.
You know
what? I didn't actually practice it that much. I did a few times.
Of course.
I need some time in front of the mirror. That's
read it to confident reinforcement. Yeah. Yes, the properly
just like
prepared.
a sim kind of leveling up his
oh, it is, yeah.
charisma score.
Oh, yeah.
That's basically it.
Got your charisma up.
It is. News, gentlemen. Plenty to talk about, and we're going to go with story number one. Kind of the reason why this show exists, really, is that PlayStation are just about to finalise their global rollout of none other than the brand new, reinvigorated PlayStation Plus lineup, which now includes multiple tiers, hundreds of games, in fact, but more importantly, to our channel in particular, a lot of content that comes from cloud-specific gaming. So PlayStation 3 games, PlayStation Classics, PlayStation Plus. It's almost rolled out. Actually, at the time this show goes live, it comes out this week in the UK. I know Asia North America and stuff have had it a little bit longer than us, so they've got to test it out a little bit prior. First of all, I'll throw it over to you, Jeff, to start off with. Where are you sitting on the PlayStation Plus front? Are you going premium? Does this excite you?
Yeah, I'll definitely be going for the highest one. Not that I haven't got enough games as it is, but yeah, I'm more than happy. The price is fine for me. I'm quite happy with that. So I'll certainly be paying £100 annually, jumping straight in, giving myself access to as much as possible. It's probably going to end up like a Netflix situation where you just scrolling and scrolling. I'll probably never play anything, but I like to have choice. It's sort of who I am. I like to have loads there to pick from. So yeah, very excited. I'll just jump in. It is what it is.
You do play a lot of games. So for those who are watching along at home, of course, Jeff, you have your own YouTube channel. This is your opportunity to pimp it out and tell the people that the reason I call you the Trophy Tickler for the first time ever today is that you are a massive platinum hunter, achievement hunter, trophy hunter. And let the lovely people know a little bit about your channel while we are talking about PlayStation.
That name's going to stick, isn't it? You're going to end up making me into the T-shirt, but this time... Oh, man.
Don't give me ideas.
It's just the reason... I mean, I just like playing so many different things. I mean, first and foremost, I like the idea that... I do see some people playing one game at a time and, testament to them for starting it, finish it, straight in one go. But I like to have something from each genre. Generally I'll have like a JRPG on the go, maybe a third-person, action game on the go, a driving game, a sports game. Just if I'm feeling any fatigue from something, I can kind of just switch it up a little bit. Whereas some people, they play one game and then they'll find that they're burnt out and they might not want a game for a couple of days. Well, I'll just mix it up that way. So that's why I like loads of choice. And yeah. The trophies keep me interested and keep me coming back, and yeah,
it's like a little
so much to talk. I could literally talk for an hour about this. So I don't want to, waffle on too much about it. But yeah, ultimately, I like to have so much choice, just in case I might wake up one day and not feel the open world. I might just want to play FIFA or something, and I'll do that and then jump to something else. But I think I've got like, no joke, maybe 10 games on the go at the moment, and it's getting silly, and they're all really big games as well, so it's not like I can quickly finish one off.
I can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a two-game guy. I have my casual game, like a FIFA or something, and then I have my bigger game that takes a lot more time investment, and I just bounce between 2 games, not 10.
I used to have just like 2 or 3, and it was so much more manageable. And just lately, it's got a little bit out of control, should we say?
Spiral.
And that's it. Since I've done the channel stuff, I'm almost, when I'm looking at other people's profiles and reviewing them, I'm kind of talking myself into going back to unfinished games, which is, I kind of was managing it well. And then because I'm trying to tell other people to do it, I'm like, I should really be doing it myself as well. So I've kind of booted up a few more games to try and get them finished. And it's just a bit overwhelming, but I'm off work for 10 days now, so let's see what we can do.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, so your channel, Jeff, you go and you essentially review people's trophy lists.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, through PSN profiles, I'll just submit them through social media, and I just basically have a look at what they've played and, the platinums they've got, that kind of thing, if I can give any tips, advice, all that good stuff. But yeah, I really like seeing what other people have played. And the great thing about that website is it doesn't just show you a list of games, it goes into a lot of detail about, what they finished, how long it had taken them and all that stuff. So yeah, it's really good.
It's very, very granular. How many platinums are we sitting on at the moment?
Because I did a few sneaky grubby ones this yesterday.
Did you My Name is Mayo? Yeah.
The jumping hot dog was one of them.
That's a game, the jumping hot dog.
So, in my defence, what happens is I've literally done like 60 hours at work in 4 days, so I don't get to do any gaming, because they're all like 12-hour shifts and stuff. And then I've had such a withdrawal from seeing the trophy pop in that I just have to play like a My Name is Mayo type just to feel better about myself. Yeah. But yeah,
you're a trophy hunter when you go, oh, I got a few platinums yesterday. Yeah,
I got a few. So I did. I'm on 403 to answer the original question, which is...
I'm on 21.
21. Yeah, well, I've probably got about 200 games, which probably took 30 minutes or less. So it's not what it looks like, but
it is the fact you started that with, in my defence. Well, that extra level of critique. So with the PlayStation Plus games, Jeff, are we going back to some old PS1 classics? Siphon Filter, Ape Escape? Do they appeal to you as a trophy hunter?
they definitely will do. Yeah, I mean, being the age I am and that we all are, the fact that we can go back to these games and earn trophies in them as well, it's just a win-win for me. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I haven't decided which one I'll jump into first, but yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolutely crazy list. You're talking hundreds and hundreds of titles. Not all of them have necessarily trophy support, but I guess to the other end of the spectrum, Rob, I'll throw it over to you next. Out of all the list of PlayStation games that are now potentially open to play and stream and access more than we've ever been able to access before, do you give two shits about trophies, or are you just in it for the game?
I'm primarily in it all for the story. It's all about kind of like getting pulled into a different world and a different kind of character that you can kind of influence in that world. So that's why I always get drawn to the stuff like Fallout universe and things like that. So the fact that Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which is my favorite game of all time, that's...
I must say though, sorry to sort of interject, just so people don't think I go for trophies and I'm not actually a gamer. Gaming 100% comes first for me as well. The trophies are just a bonus so I can get a lot more for my money. Yeah, basically. Gaming always comes first.
Gaming always does. So why specifically Fallout, Rob?
I'm not really sure. I think I played Fallout New Vegas for the first time in that kind of golden age when you're kind of like 16 to 20. I can't remember exactly the first time, but it was that kind of age where just like a certain franchise just imprints on you really, really well. So prior to that, it was the Metal Gear Solid series, and then kind of Fallout New Vegas is just like a fantastic example of an RPG. It's just stuck with me ever since, really.
New Vegas seemed to come along at the height of when open world games were just exploding, but hadn't yet got fatiguing.
Yeah, right. And it was the perfect. Yeah. It was open world, but it was filled with lots of diversity, not just kind of like collectibles and things like that, which I think a lot of open world games suffer with now. Every little corner had something unique and interesting in, which is what I loved about it.
Yeah, I'll hold my hand up. I've never played a Fallout game. Actually, sorry, scratch that. I played Fallout Shelter on my mobile phone when that kind of became a thing. It does count as a Fallout game, but then
not in the sense that Rob's talking.
Very true. Although in kind of weirdly enough, I have 2 copies of Fallout 4. I think one my brother gave me, and then one I got free. I bought something from Game one time, and the guy literally just went, "Oh, you get a free copy of Fallout 4 with that." Gave me it, and I've never even unboxed it. I've actually, in fact, been trying to sell it on Facebook Marketplace for about 2 years now. £4, I think it's apparently currently marked at. Unopened Fallout 4 PS4, but it's free on that many things now. It's on Game Pass.
Yeah, right.
It's here as part of the PlayStation Plus collection, as is Fallout 76. Do I just jump in? Is 4 the best? Do you guys recommend, or is
Absolutely
the
not.
place to start? No,
it's the only one I've played. Number 4 yet. I haven't played much of Fallout, but 4 was brilliant. But I can't speak for the others really.
I think,
from my understanding, it's either free or New Vegas. It's kind of like top tier ones, and it's usually down to personal preference.
Yeah, New Vegas is more wacky, and that's it. So.
And part of me is saying I will get to them eventually, but similar to Jeff, it's like there's so many open world huge games, and there's so many new games which we're going to talk about in just a short while. But this list of titles, Richie, insanely big. We've been, of course, doing gaming stuff now on this channel for nearly 3 years now. We've played a multitude of games, from indie games to AAA titles. Anything massively jumping out this list, thinking I'm either going to have to go back to it, or I just can't wait to try it out for the first time?
It's hard to know, because the list is like potentially up to 700 games with the premium version. So it's the Batman Arkham games are on there. I've never really give them the biggest chance that I should have done. I played a bit of Arkham Asylum on PC back in the day, but I think I started playing it, then I went on a holiday for like 2 weeks, and when I came back I just didn't get back into it. So there's Bioshock again and other stuff I haven't played, but there's just so much stuff on this list. I'd have to sit down on the list and spend like a good few hours just going, what games do I want to play, and like I want to play them all.
Yeah, it's almost too much too much choice. That kind of what Jeff was saying about the Netflix problem, where I could see myself scrolling and scrolling, and an hour has passed, and I've not even booted a game up because I'm just too busy looking at the artwork, looking at the type of game it is, and then before you know it, it's bedtime and you're gone. But what I always think when I see things like this wrong, could you imagine being a kid today and your parent goes, "Oh, there you go, you've got PlayStation Plus for the air, Timmy," and you boot up your screen, and like I'm sure you guys, well, you had to wait for your birthday or Christmas before you had anywhere near a chance of getting a new game, and you had to beg your parents for it. You had to maybe go to a sibling and say, "We'll go halves on it." And now these kids have literally the entire PlayStation library opened up to them within the click of a button.
It's great. You beat me too. I was just about to say the same thing. Like, you would have to wait for these special occasions for one game, and now people
when you get
have got
2 games a year, birthday and Christmas.
Crazy.
It sucked for me because my birthday's in November, so I get 2 games right at the end of the year.
Barren periods. But then, it goes back to kind of what Rob was saying about like Fallout kind of having that imprint on you at a certain age when you're growing up, and it really just kind of resonates. And having so many games, I don't think it will with kids, because they're just kind of, you'll be on to the next thing before you even have a chance to really buy into the world of one of them. If you open up Fallout now, and that's like 80 to 100 hours worth of gameplay, but you've got another 699 titles to check out, you're not going to hang around to really like buy into that brand and that IP. Which
I feel like as a child,
like a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I was much better at kind of.
Can I propose what game you should be most excited for that I've just seen on this list I've been scrolling?
Go on then.
Mafia.
Oh no, I hate Mafia. Mafia. Do you two know the history on this channel with Mafia?
No. What's the history about Mafia?
Well, I mean, it's not specifically, but we obviously do the Stadia podcast as well. And Mafia Definitive Edition, the trilogy, was announced. Of course, Richie, it made it over to this podcast within the first episode. It was announced coming to Stadia hundreds of days ago at this point. So it was. I keep a tally on my phone. That's how pissed off I am with it. They announced it 766 days ago, and then the definitive edition came out on other platforms, so like PlayStation, Xbox, and stuff, on the 25th of December 2020. So we're now actually 631 days from the actual release on other platforms, and the trilogy hasn't made its way over to Stadia yet. And it's a kind of a running joke on the other show that I said I'd play it when it finally came, because I was initially interested in playing the games because I never played them before. Now I just don't give a shit about them. I'm just annoyed that it's taken them so long. The devs don't say anything, the platform holders don't say anything, and it's just kind of this running joke now. I've got a tally, and we're nearly encroaching on 700 days, and we've not heard a peep since. So now it's on this list, Richie. I might finally play it if I wasn't so bitter towards the franchise now. So, but we won't rest on that one too long, because we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. So not only is there a whole new world opening up of PlayStation titles, and I, for one, cannot wait till the back end of this week to just jump into that list and think, right, where do I want to start? What's the stream quality like? Because that's the biggest thing. I want to go play Ape Escape again. I want to jump into Siphon Filter. And the fact that I can just sit right here at my desk and stream it through the internet without having to dig out the old PS1 back there or the PlayStation 3 and dust it off. It's going to be crazy, and obviously this library is going to expand over time, and we'll discuss it more and more on the show. But as mentioned at the top, big Summer Games Fest, plenty of games to talk about, and one of the biggest ones, for me in particular, that they launched this year was The Last of Us Remake. Is coming out 2nd of September on my birthday. It was meant to happen. That Richie, funny what you're saying, there's my birthday present sorted for this year. Even though I'm an adult, I don't have to wait until my birthday. Now I'm going to definitely ask for it as one of the presents that I would like this year from my wife. But gentlemen, me and Richie discussed it a little bit earlier in the week. £70 this is coming out as a remake. It looks gorgeous. I'm buying it day one. Well, not buying it. I'm getting it as a present, hopefully, day one. Jeff, you finished The Last of Us. You played The Last of Us. Rob, it's full of story. I'm hoping you've checked it out. If not, this is definitely the best time. Is £70 too much for a remake? And will you be buying this, Jeff, or are you going to hang fire a little bit longer?
I think I'll hold off. I'll be honest. Although it's probably my second favourite game of all time. I've done it on the PS3. I've done it on the PS4, and don't get me wrong, it looks absolutely beautiful from the side-by-sides I've seen. It looks incredible. I just don't know if I can justify the cost. I think if you've never played it, then 100% I'd probably I'd probably pay double for it. It's one of the best games ever made. But I think because I've played it so much, I'd I'll probably hold off a little bit, I think. But yeah, it's certainly worth the price for those that haven't jumped in before, without a doubt.
I'm the same with you, Jeff. Is like, I think the original actually holds up. So
Yeah.
I don't need this game. It is better. It does look better, a decent step up better. But the last game isn't ugly by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm just kind of, well, if you haven't played it, buy this game.
Yeah.
But if you've already got it, it's up to you.
I'm like that as well. I don't think it's enough of a jump to sort of warrant it, really.
Yeah, it's definitely
it's not like it's game from PS2 to now. It still looks great even on the PS3, let alone the remastered version on PS4.
Yeah, it's certainly a testament to how good the original game is. That graphically, like even some of the side-by-side comparisons, they don't look too bad considering they're 9 years apart. And they remastered this, of course, and it's very much Sony possibly just milking the cow a little bit for all it's worth. And I know Nintendo sometimes get a free pass for just doing the bare minimum repackaging and putting it out and charging top dollar for it. And people buy it because it's nostalgia, it's fame. But I'm with you, Jeff. Yeah, it's one of my favourite games of all time. I think the story's absolutely phenomenal. The voice acting, the character development, the gameplay, it's all so good. And the fact that they're bringing in elements from The Last of Us Part 2 into this title has me excited and jazzed to see how the environments differ. If they introduce like the dodge mechanic or the crawl, the going prone, like little subtle things, but it could change up the first kind of the flow of the first game quite a lot. Rob, where are you with the Last of Us? What's your history with it?
I absolutely love the franchise. Again, it breaks into my top 10 games purely based on the story and the kind of the standard of voice acting. But I'm like you two, where I just feel like I'm not getting £70 worth of additional value over what I've already experienced. And like even when it comes to the graphics, which are markedly improved, we're getting to the point where the graphics are so good on the previous versions that it's more a difference in art style as opposed to kind of graphics performance in a way. So when I look at those side-by-side comparisons, they both have like their own kind of charm to me. Like definitely there's kind of higher quality on the new ones, but the old ones weren't bad, and they still hold up.
I almost feel like it's a generation too early for the remake.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you know the bit that surprised me the most out of all of the side-by-sides? Tess. I think because you've seen Joel and you've seen Ellie in The Last of Us 2, and you've seen them on next gen and stuff already. I don't know, it was when I seen the picture of Tess, I was like, wow, this is big difference. It surprised me how kind of how she looked.
It's almost like when you see a friend that you've not seen for a while and they look very different, but because you see your regular friends or your family on like a weekly basis.
Higher definition.
Yeah, I mean, we've not gone and got glasses or anything, but you know what I mean? Like they've changed, they've aged, and you're like, oh wow, I haven't seen you in 2 years. You look very different. Whereas someone who you've seen every other week, you kind of don't notice those subtle changes. But yeah, Tess, obviously, very small part to play in the first game. Seeing her fully up-res from the ground up on PS5 is like, damn. She got a bit of a glow, so
absolutely,
it's great. But I totally get the sentiments what the three of you guys are saying in terms of there's the Left Behind DLC is included. Some would argue, so you're getting all that remade as well for the first time. I've seen a couple of people across social media saying they wish they'd maybe incorporated Left Behind into the story as an optional extra. So if you start the campaign, they could do flashbacks to Left Behind within the campaign, so actually like add it into the story in a more natural way. Would have merited maybe a newer price point. And of course,
cool.
Yeah, I think it would be a nice option. And this isn't the deluxe edition. So there's a Firefly edition which comes with the prequel comic book and a couple of other in-game improvements to start off with. That's £100, which is sold out everywhere, so you can't find that one. But there's a lot of people saying it's actually going to impact the way the game plays because you get like kind of upgraded weapons early on. You get more ammunition, which the whole thing I loved about The Last of Us, it made me scavenge for every bullet and fibre I could find to survive. Giving me an improved weapon at the beginning and more ammunition, I feel like defeats the object of the story a little bit in those early chapters.
Yeah, I think that's what makes the grounded mode so good, and I think that the game was meant to be played on that difficulty for me, because it takes everything away. You've got no HUD. You can't use the listening sensors and understand is there a clicker around the corner. You literally have to act as if you maybe would in real life and just listen and that kind of thing. Be very careful. It just changes the entire dynamic. And for anyone who hasn't played it on Grounded, play it. It is difficult, but it just massively changes the experience. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I completely forgot about it.
You just remind me, Chris, of when I got Dragon Age 2. I got the pre-ordered DLC weapons and stuff, and I didn't want to use them early game because then it felt like I'd be spoiling the early game for myself by just being overpowered, and then they weren't good enough for late game use. So it's like I just had this stuff in the chest for forever and that never used. Yeah,
I get that. Grounded mode, yeah, Jeff. I'm getting flashbacks now to trying to get the platinum for the grounded mode. And you're right, I totally forgot they take the listening off you, and there's even less ammo than before.
Could be good for trophy hunting though.
Well, that was my next question. I was going to throw over to Jeff. Brand new trophy list. Do you think they are going to ease up, because the last couple of PlayStation exclusives have been quite straightforward platinums, I would say, and The Last of Us wasn't a straightforward one due to the grounded mode, and the multiplayer factions mode on the original was quite tedious. You had to survive so many months as a survivor, and do you think with this not having any multiplayer element, it's going to be a bit more of a walk in the park?
I'd think so. I would expect it to be similar to The Last of Us Part 2. I think Sony are doing that with a lot now, aren't they, where it's the trophy list generally are catered to most players. They're relatively easy to the point where you're not even having to look at lists now. You'll generally earn them as you go, as long as you're doing everything that's within the game, that is. But yeah, I think it's going to be a bit easier, I would say. Straight away taking the factions out, it's
and of course we are still waiting on whatever the new version of factions looks like. It's surprising it isn't actually bundled in with this at all. It's still coming next year at some point, we think. They've said it's going to be their biggest open world part yet. Naughty Dog have never done a massive multiplayer game, so can't wait. If they can somehow fold narrative story in with amazing multiplayer, and Factions was an absolute sleeper hit. I love Factions.
It was superb, yeah. I mean, I don't know how much thought was put into it originally, or whether it was just tacked on or what, but it's absolutely brilliant. I love playing it. I think the gameplay is superb. I don't play too much multiplayer really now, but that would be something I'd be quite happy to play all the time.
Exactly the same here. I can see them having some kind of like home hub base that you've got to build on and actually have character relationships, and then go out and do the factions missions in some kind of crazy online multiplayer world. So, but we do have to wait a little bit longer for that one. However, Richie, one of the things we don't have to wait, I'll throw over to you. Our next star of the week, revealed at the Xbox Showcase of all places, and then quickly within less than 24 hours was revealed to the world. The Persona collection was announced. So Persona 3 Portable from PSP, Persona 4 Golden from the PlayStation Vita, and also Persona 5 Royal are coming to PS5 as a collection of Japanese RPGs. It is coming to Game Pass and such, but then I think it was teased as Game Pass is great. All these games are coming to Xbox, and then within a matter of hours, it was, don't worry, it's also coming to PlayStation, which has got its kind of spiritual home. Richie, you've put nearly 200 hours into Persona.
Actually, over 200 hours.
Oh, there it is.
On Persona 5. So I've actually played through Persona 5 twice. The first time I just played, second time I went trophy hunting, so I've got that platinum, which is why it took me over 100 hours the second time round as well. So Persona 5 I got into. It's actually PS Now that I got into Persona 5 on, because I was looking for a game when PS Now was kind of launching. We were starting the channel. I was like, I want to jump into PS Now. What should I play? I've heard good things about this Persona thing. I like my RPG, so I'll give it a go, and it just hooked me.
Absolutely hooked you. So for those who don't know, what are the Persona games? What are they?
They're kind of unique that they combine like Persona 5. I can't really talk too much about 3 and 4 because I've never played either of them, which is why I'm quite happy for this announcement. And now because they're coming to the Game Pass, potentially coming to Stadia, and they're coming over to PlayStation, now I have a problem of where do I buy them.
Yeah, what a problem.
But Persona 5, it's set in like a Japanese high school, so it's very anime-esque. But then you also go into dungeons, and it becomes very much like a JRPG, turn-based combat, very stylized, awesome soundtrack. So it's one of them. If you like your JRPGs turn-based, then you probably love it.
Yeah, and we get a whole collection built up as well.
I can't really compare it to any other game because it's unlike any other game I've actually
Does
played.
seem really unique. I mean, I haven't played it, but it does look very unique. But often when I look at a lot of top 10 JRPGs ever made and things like that, it tends to be often first or there or thereabouts. It's
very character driven in the story as well.
Yeah.
So that's why like the relationship elements and like the school element of the game is actually very important because that's when you'll develop relationships with all the characters you meet. So then that carries over to when you're actually in the dungeons.
I've actually been very careful not to play this game because I know it will suck me in and consume scores of hours of my life. And I don't have that time to spare at the moment.
I haven't played Royale either, Persona 5 Royale. I've only played the base Persona 5. Royale's even longer. I think they added another extra like palace or 2, and I think which is going to probably adding probably another 20 hours on top of the game.
Yeah,
well,
I just can't
20 hours when you've already put 200 in, Richie?
Yeah, I'm not going to play Royale anytime soon.
Going to go back to it. That's a definite list. Was the Platinum Trophy difficult, would you say, or was it just time consuming?
Mainly just time consuming because the game actually works in a calendar based system. So like every day you get so many actions where you can go hang out with different characters or go explore one of the palaces and stuff. So you kind of had to optimize your route through the game in order to hit a lot of the achievements.
Right.
So it's definitely missable. There's missable stuff in there if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I would not trophy hunt this game like first way through. If you want to trophy hunt it, I'd recommend plan for a second playthrough. But you can speed up your second playthrough a lot by just like skipping through cutscenes and stuff.
So instead of 100, it goes down to 75 hours.
Yeah, I don't think it's a majorly difficult one. I was talking about yesterday on one of my videos because someone had the platinum, and I'm sure, according to most guys, it's only a 2 or 3 out of 10 difficulty. So I just think it's more time consuming
with a guide
than
there's
anything
missable
else.
Stuff.
Yeah,
it's missable stuff as in you'll literally run out of time because every time you progress the day, you can't go back. So you've only got so many actions you can do throughout the entire course of the game.
Makes sense.
So if you want to do everything in one playthrough, you have to be optimized.
Yeah.
Very particular. Who doesn't love a good trophy hunt, eh? So in terms of the games, I'm just thrilled to see that they're getting kind of moved away from the old portable handsets again. I hate when games kind of get stranded on old hardware and they're just like these Persona titles were just left on PSP and Vita, rest in peace. And to see all these other games come across and get kind of remakes, remastered, whether that's through cloud or new hardware, it's great to see because there literally must be hundreds of games out there. I think one thing we always laugh about, Richie, is you can't currently play the Metal Gear Solid titles on PlayStation as it stands. They're not on cloud. They're on PS3. There's no PS4 version. What is the world we live in where you cannot play a Metal Gear Solid on a PS5 right now? Like that shouldn't be a thing. It needs it's like one of the
that needs a remake.
I mean I think that's the reason it's not available. I think it was on PlayStation Now and it was pulled away a few months prior to the launch of the new PlayStation Plus. So that is leading a lot of kind of follow the breadcrumbs. That kind of leads towards you thinking they must be working on some kind of remake, remaster because the first Metal Gear Solid, other than like Twin Snakes, I think back in the day, it's not really had anything modernized to it, and I think we're at that point where they're running out of IP to remaster and remake. I mean, look at The Last of Us; it's on its second one already. And what better title to start is Kojima's Metal Gear Solid? And I know Rob, you said Metal Gear Solid was one of your famed ones from yesteryear. Would you like to see it get a full-on glow up in full 60 4K?
Absolutely.
PS5 glory?
I mean, those games hold up surprisingly well from a kind of controlling perspective. I actually emulated MGS1 because obviously I don't have a PlayStation 1 knocking about anymore. So I went back and it was surprisingly kind of intuitive. But yeah, I'd love especially the cutscene quality is definitely aged poorly. But to see that updated with like kind of Vulcan Raven and kind of Sniper Wolf in their kind of full HD glory would be superb. So yeah, I'm definitely on board with that remaster.
Yeah, could you imagine? I mean, just Kojima, I think a lot of people have always said he's more of just he wants to be a movie director more than he does a video game director to some degree.
He's a genius.
Absolutely.
Absolute genius.
In
I always see him as Sorry, mate.
No, go
I was
ahead.
going to say he reminds me almost like the Christopher Nolan of video games. Just his mind just does wonderful things, and yeah, he's crazy. And I'll never forget when you had that scene with the Colonel, and I think it's the Colonel, and he's telling you the codes on the back of the CD-ROM. You know, when you're talking to him, and
Yeah,
I'm like, the codes on the back of the CD-ROM. What does he mean?
yeah.
And it's actually on the
Yeah,
case. Like, who does that?
That's
yeah,
definitely an issue
Or
when
the
you
Yeah.
try to
Sega
emulate.
Mantis.
When you
And back
emulate a
then,
game, yeah.
when the internet didn't exist and you couldn't just ring someone and ask them, you had to wait till the school playground to ask your mates, "Have you got past this bit yet?" And yeah, I was stuck on that for ages. And
yeah.
the
It's
site,
a,
sorry, go on, Richie.
it's a weird way that he's basically kind of worked DRM into like how you
Yeah,
play the
right.
game without people even realizing it.
It's mad. And the Psycho Mantis fight with taking your controller out and putting it in port two, so they couldn't read your mind. It was so clever for its time. Some of the things he'd done with it.
Yeah, it's absolute genius, and it is crazy how they've not really had any remakes or remastered. I went back and watched some playthroughs of 1, 2, and 3, I think, over the last year or so of just one of the channels that I watch, and they went through it for the first time, never played it, and just enjoying it. But the story, how it tells such a relative story of today's world, still how he almost predicts the future in number 2 about how the world is with politics and a secret organized. Like, it's so crazy how kind of like forward thinking is. And I know, Jeff, you're a big fan of Death Stranding as well.
Yep.
His first PlayStation breakaway game from Konami. So lots of stuff, but we do actually have a story about Kojima in the pipeline. But before we get to that, we'll move on to the next story of the week. Another drop from Summer Games Fest was Resident Evil had a big part to play. They had a Capcom showcase, but they also had the PlayStation State of Play. The third entry in the remake series, I guess. We have had RE Remake 2, 3, and then, no surprise, the most probably favoured of the lot, RE4 Remake is coming out beginning of next year in March. Can't wait for this one as well. I've played a little bit too. I've played for the first time Biohazard and Village completely through, and I think I'm in. I think I'm in on Resident Evil now, guys. I was usually put off by horror because I'm an absolute coward when it comes to playing on my own. But I played through them with Richie and Tom on the channel. I know we played 2 Richie at Halloween one year. We got about halfway through with some of our other friends. And I think I'm kind of over the jump scare element now. I'm willing to appreciate them for the story. So 2 and 3 in Biohazard just had next-gen versions drop this very week, with 4 in the pipeline in March. I cannot wait. Any of you guys big on Resident Evil?
I absolutely
fan.
love. Yeah, number 4 was
Love.
superb.
Have you played
Absolutely.
any
the
of the new ones? The
I-
remake, sorry.
Yeah, I played all the remakes. Yeah, I played 2. I love that. Number 3 I felt was a little bit of a low effort kind of remake for the price point it was at. It was a much shorter
They were
game.
it was originally a double pack, wasn't it? 2 and 3, but then they split
They
it.
did, yeah. I think halfway through the development, they realised they could probably milk it a bit more and just
Yeah.
siphoned off 3, and then evidently 4 is its own thing as well, which I think is the better way to approach it. I'm not a keen fan of packing things. What does really bug me is the fact that number 1 is left out. I can't believe we've got 2, 3, and 4. I know 1 was remade for like GameCube. I think I was gonna say not long ago, quite a while ago, and that's considered the best version of Resident Evil 1. But I just hate the fact that we've got 2, 3, soon to be 4, in like the best RE Engine version you've ever seen. And the first one is just missing out. I'd love to jump in at number 1 to kind of get the ball fully rolling. But RE4, it looks amazing. It's apparently well revered as the best one. Jeff, do you say 4's your favourite, or have you got a different
I
one?
was going to say 4's the only one I haven't played, actually, and I know
Oh.
that's generally a lot of people's favourite. It's sort of just, I don't know, went over my head a little bit. I never got onto it when it was first released. I know you can play it now. And this is me being a little bit sweaty, but it doesn't have a platinum, which is why I haven't played it. No, I do still play some non-platinum games, but I am very excited now that they've announced this one, so I'll definitely play it now.
Yeah, the RE Engine looks stunning.
But-
Anything they put it through.
I
I
love
haven't
them,
played
and
4 either.
I agree with Rob as well. I think 2. I still really enjoy 3, but the second one definitely edges it.
Yeah, it's a crazy world we live in. And then, of course, they pivoted away to do first-person horror with 7 Biohazard, which was a total change of pace for the franchise after the more action-oriented Resident Evil 6. we're at this weird point now. I was saying to Richie on the other show that we kind of like jump back and forth between third person to first person. It's almost like a whiplash. You don't know whether you're coming or going with Resident Evil because they'll do absolutely anything to the visual mode. And also as part of this Summer Games Fest announcement at the Capcom Showcase, we also learned that Resident Evil Village is getting a single-player story expansion focusing on Rose, the baby in Resident Evil Village, as a teenager growing up. And weirdly enough, this one is in third person. So the whole game of Village is in first person, but the DLC story is going to be in third person, following Rose as she dives into the mind of the black blobby stuff. I forgot what the word was again, Richie. It's like my seat or something from the campaign. It's like a biological term.
We should have looked this up between shows.
We should have done, but we didn't.
Yeah.
And third person jumped into that. We also got an announcement that they're expanding the Mercenaries mode. Lady Dimitrescu is coming back. Of course, all those thirsty people out there on the internet who want some big lady action. She's back.
Yeah, you got the thumbnails for YouTube sorted, right? That's the.
Oh yeah, the thumbnails locked in already. And the final element, which had me really intrigued, is you can play the whole campaign of Resident Evil Village as Ethan Winters once again in third person. So essentially, it's a brand new game you're getting, as far as I'm aware, because it's going to feel totally different from first person. Jeff, have you checked out Resident Evil Village yet at all?
I haven't, so I almost told a lie when I said 4's the only one I haven't played. But no, I haven't actually touched Village just yet because I'm finishing off Biohazard. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that, and the fact there is some third person stuff as well. Excited for that because I do prefer that, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, are you going to play it through first person as it was originally intended, or third person? Because you'll have the option.
See, I say I like third person more, but then I thoroughly enjoyed Biohazard just being a bit more close, a bit more,
more
personal.
immersive.
Yeah. It was obviously a lot more jump scares because of that, and yeah, maybe I will play how it was originally intended and then do a run in third person after.
Yeah, there's certainly something very visceral about having it in first person, like up in your face. The jump scares, I think, are a lot more heightened when it comes to like just being in the action, and when stuff happens to, like, you can only see your hands at the end of the day, so you are very much involved. Every door handle that's opened, every creak that happens, you're more immersed in it. But and then in hindsight, yeah, Resident Evil has always been third person, so it's an interesting flip on tradition that they're doing with this, and I love that Capcom just don't give a shit. They're just like, throw the dice. What version should we do? Well, wait till we get like a top-down Diablo style version of that.
I do feel like
you guys want in third person? Like, fine, just give us some money for the DLC and you can have it.
I feel like they are struggling with Resident Evil's kind of identity a little bit. Because I've played every single Resident Evil game. I even enjoyed 5 and 6 for what they were, for kind of more action-oriented things. But then 7 got me super, super excited again. And then Village kind of went back to a bit too heavy action focused for me personally. And then like you always get whiplash on kind of what is a Resident Evil game now, and that's an issue.
I think narratively they need to go back to the T virus. I think because they keep bringing up new viruses and new strains of so they can come up with new monsters, and it's like you're so far away, and they just keep linking everything back to Raccoon City and Umbrella.
Yeah, and Wesker.
Umbrella made like 8 different viruses that work in different ways. Just,
I mean, like the productivity of that company was exceptional, regardless of their intent. The productivity was exceptional.
But but I think they need to go back to the roots with being like the T virus, and a reboot of Resident Evil 1 could be the way to do that. T virus comes out, and then you splinter off the story in a different direction from like where eventually things like Village and Biohazard went.
Yeah, well, they're almost starting to trip over their own feet a little bit, because after 4 Remake, do we think they'll bother with 5 Remake? Because they're starting to get into that territory where they weren't really well revered as Resident Evil titles. So do they go back to 1, but then do they push on to Resident Evil 9, and is that in first person? Or they've played themselves into a weird corner with their audience, where there's some of their audience are probably fractured about, they really hate the first person stuff, but they love the remakes they're getting to kind of satiate them. And once that well runs dry of remake opportunities, very interesting to see where they're going to take it.
Yeah, definitely.
I think 9 could be both. You could have a choice, because there's about to show that in Village that it can be doable. So
True.
why not just make that, okay, Resident Evil is first person or third person.
Yeah.
It's your choice how you want to play it.
Well, I tell you what they could do, Richie, is they could take the next entry, they could break it out into 3 titles, and they could split it over 9 years, like the next star of the week did. Final Fantasy VII Remake got its final introduction, been broken up into, as I joked there, 3 parts. That's right, 1 game, 3 parts over several years now. Jeff, Richie, I know you both massive Final Fantasy fans. We got the announcement trailer dropped this week as part of the Final Fantasy kind of showcase event. Amongst other things, Remake Part 2, titled Rebirth, is coming with a later final finale to be wrapped up in many, many years to come, I'm sure. It's slated for winter 2023. And I think, Jeff, I probably have to go straight up to you. Final Fantasy's your favourite franchise of all time, if I recall?
Favourite series, Final Fantasy VII's my favourite game ever. Kind of going
for Tifa.
Oh, Tifa all the way. I love them both, but Tifa's the waifu, man.
Nah, it's Aerith.
So you're hyped for this then? This announcement this week must have just blew your top off.
Majorly, yeah. I mean, going back to what we said at the beginning, where you kind of, when you were a kid, you couldn't afford video games. My mum's boyfriend at the time had got a PlayStation 1 and he had Final Fantasy VII, and he's the typical guy, just plays FIFA, maybe a driving game, and he played it, didn't understand it, and he gave it to me. And as a kid, you're like, yeah, free game. I literally had like one other game. I don't know what it was, maybe like Ridge Racer or something that I got with the console. And he gave me, I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And I just fell in love with it ever since. So yeah, I got it in '97, been a big fan of the series. So yeah, super excited with the news that's just been announced. Very happy because I honestly thought I was going to be dead before they announced anything. It's just, when it first came up, they almost sold it as if maybe every year or two you're going to get the next bit. And a couple of years later, I still hadn't heard anything. I'm starting to worry a little bit, thinking, because they'd recently mentioned 16 coming out like next year, and I'm like, there's still no news. But yeah, very, very happy. The only thing that worries me is the direction it's taken. I love everything about it, don't get me wrong, it's absolutely beautiful, but because of kind of how the game's ended and the trailer mentioning that the future's not written and all that good stuff, I just don't want them to change too much. That's
change one massive
thing, yeah. Although I still think the story can continue.
I think that story beat might happen very early in Rebirth. Yeah. I think they may have moved it rather than into it somewhere else just to suit the cadence of the game. Otherwise, you're kind of ending on a very much of a downer.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very excited. It's just that's literally my only concern, really, is I just hope it doesn't go in a direction where it just ruins my favourite thing ever.
You'll always have the original, right?
Yeah.
You'll always have the original. And like you said, you might be dead before the final one comes out, so you won't have to worry about it.
Oh, honestly, someone sent me a picture the other day, and it was just Cloud photoshopped with like grey hair and a big grey beard, and it sort of said Cloud by the time the remake's finished, and it tickled me a little bit. It's probably true, but yeah.
And we'll get some PS7 remaster collection of all 3 of them finally bundled into one in the future.
Most probably. I'm sort of sorry, go on, Chris.
I was going to say, as someone who's not a Final Fantasy, I don't know, Rob. I'll get your take on this. Are you a big Final Fantasy guy?
Like, I loved 7 and I loved 10. 7 and 10 I loved. 7 again, like, was a very formative game in my childhood, but the remake just hasn't caught me. I think because of that kind of, it's not really episodic, is it? When you have to wait a couple of years.
The release cadence.
Yeah, it's just a bit. I don't know. Like, I think the original 7 is on the PS Plus, like premium plan or whatever it's called. So I think I'll revisit the original as opposed to going for the remake.
I intend to go back and play Integrate, the upgraded version of 7 Remake, but I've been waiting for Rebirth to be announced, so I'll probably be playing it next summer, I reckon.
It was really good. Yeah, it was only a few hours, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Have you played it at all, did you say, Rich, or are you jumping back in?
I finished 7. I've rolled credit to 7. I didn't get the platinum, but since Integrate came out, I haven't jumped into it. I haven't played any of the DLC stuff. I decided I want to save that on the run up to part 2. So I was like, to refamiliarize myself with the story where we're not, where we left off. So I think, okay, I'll replay it at that point.
It's really,
So
really
probably
good.
next summer.
It's kind of set between chapters 8 and 12, so kind of from where Cloud falls into the church with Aerith, leading up to when the plate falls in Sector 7. It just adds so much more, but from another perspective. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, albeit it was only a couple of hours, but yeah, really, really good. And a very nice post-credit scene as well. You'll enjoy it.
So
I fully expect to.
I've asked Richie this before. As someone who's been totally eluded by Final Fantasy full stop, I don't know whether at the time it just didn't excite me. I was playing something else. As it was, all of my friends seem to love this franchise and have played it, and I missed out. And I don't get how that happens in a friendship circle. But here we are. Is there a great jumping on point, would you say, with this remake, and then wait for Rebirth next week? Or because I'm intrigued by 16. I love the fantasy setting of that one. I love what I've seen in the trailers. And I'm always open to jumping into like old franchises IP and getting it. But I know every story is uniquely different. So would you recommend a favourite, or should I just wait for 16? Where are we at,
Just
guys?
play 7 right now after we finish recording.
Right, I'm off to do that.
Yeah, I think 7.
Yeah.
7 moving to a bit more action focused rather than traditional turn based. It still has elements of that in there. Is a very good jumping in point for the series.
Would I be frustrated by the wait though? Having never played them before, you guys know what happens with the story.
No.
Me having to wait several years until this finale.
No, the remake does feel like it feels like watching like a movie where you know it's a trilogy and you know you're gonna have to wait for the next one, but it does end, like the movie does end.
Right.
It's not like and it just stops.
Right.
It does actually have an ending.
Cut to black. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe one day. We did also get the announcement of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Remastered, which surprised a lot of people as well. Where are your feelings on this one with Zack's story?
Very excited for it. I unfortunately didn't get to play Crisis Core, so as much as I love 7, I didn't play this or Dirge of Cerberus. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to.
This is new.
jump
Oh yeah,
in.
this was a PSP release from 2008.
Yeah.
So
I've never had any of the handheld stuff like the Vita as well. So I've kind of missed out on a few games I wanted to play. So I'm really excited for Crisis Core. Should be cool.
This is what I've always told you, Jeff. If you got yourself a PlayStation Vita on the cheap, imagine all of them platinum trophies that are sat there. My Name is Mayo again with a touch screen, double up.
I don't like this. I am a bit sweaty with some of the games I play, but I don't stack. I'm not a big fan of
That's
the
where
whole,
you draw the line.
Yeah, when I review these trophy lists and I see My Name is Mayo in every region, and I'm just like, that's not for me. I don't mind an easy one, like I say, just to pump up the numbers, but I'm not stacking them.
Not stacking them. Well, there was plenty to be announced anyway at Summer Game Fest. Any particular favourites, gentlemen, before we wrap up on the Summer Games section that you guys took away? Any standout title or announcement that made you think? Like, obviously, I'm sure Final Fantasy for you too.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
I said it was actually on CloudQuest. It's between either 7 Remake, Rebirth, and probably the Persona games. I'm leaning towards the Persona games because they're probably closer. But it's literally just time rather than actual quality of game.
Yeah, same for
I
me.
actually
Yeah,
love the Go on, Chris.
No, go ahead.
This during like the Capcom showcase, like Exo Primal just grips me in a way I don't quite understand. I mean, it looks like a complete like
That's
stupid
dinosaurs and
prospect of a
mechs,
game.
right?
Yeah, basically it's kind of like World War Z, but with dinosaurs and mech suits instead. And I don't know, something stupid just appeals to me about that.
You
So
don't
I'll
have to
definitely be
apologise
picking
for
that.
liking dinosaurs and mech suits.
It's
Sounds
like the
great.
Pacific Rim effect, where it's like
Yeah.
it knows what it is, and it's not going to pretend
Yeah.
to be some high art. And I love that when games can just suspend
take
belief.
themselves.
We're just going to be ridiculous fun.
Yeah.
Ridiculous fun. Yeah, certainly. Well, plenty to talk about, plenty of games to play in the future, and no doubt they'll be on some kind of subscription service to play for free or to test out on a trial, of course. One of the things that has continued throughout the course of the year is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and we got an announcement at the Assassin's Creed 15th anniversary stream that happened this week that they're starting to wind down on Valhalla. There's a new roguelite edition that's just been announced for it as well, called the Forgotten Saga, which is going to be free to all players. Jump in, upgrade your weapons, upgrade your skills, but if you die, you put out of luck, you got to restart and go back through it all over again. Not my cup of tea. I'm not a big roguelite fan. But it's crazy to think how much Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been supported with the Dawn of Ragnarok expansion, which was a whole new game unto itself. All the free content that's came with it, all the seasonal content. And they did basically tease that there will be one final chapter in Eivor's story that will be dropping later on this year. Free to all players as we round out Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Gentlemen, any particular thoughts on where we think Assassin's Creed is going to go after this?
I'm really not sure, but I'd love to just see the first game redone, replay Altair's adventure. That's kind of what I'm hoping for anyway. That would be really cool.
That might happen in like Infinity, because we don't know much about Assassin's Creed Infinity yet, but that could be like with Ubisoft going in that more persistent world online kind of thing. Assassin's Creed Infinity might give you the option to like your character in this world, and you can jump into the Animus and pick what story you want to play through.
Yeah, I think we've theorized
Altair's adventure could be one of them.
Yeah, well, in the kind of trailer for the 15th anniversary, there's a lot of rumours going around now that the footage of Assassin's Creed 1 looks a lot better than it should. So there's people thinking, is that remaster, remake footage? But yeah, Richie, we've theorised quite a lot. The new rumoured Assassin's Creed Infinity, I would love that to just be an Animus hub online, and then you just go in through the Animus to each era, and then you go through one era and you get the whole entirety of Assassin's Creed Origins in Egypt. You go through another one, you get the entire of ancient Greece in Odyssey. You go back and you've got Assassin's Creed 2 in Renaissance Italy. But you've got a central character, and the way Ubisoft have been working behind the scenes to bring all of their games up to 64K, we've seen Origins just got a patch this week. That game's like 8-year-old at this point. So the fact that they went back and added DLC with Cassandra into Odyssey, it's just very suspicious that they're going back to really old games and adding new content if there wasn't some kind of thread that's going to pull them all together in like the near future. And I'd love, an online, ever-persistent world where I make my own assassin and I just go and explore these old games in the best form they've ever been in through some kind of infinity world. Whether it looked like that or not, I don't know, but never been done.
I feel like Cassandra's going to be like the connective tissue that links all the games in the series together.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're going.
That would be great.
It'd be very cool indeed.
Assassin's Creed 1, I'd love a remake of that.
Because Cassandra outdates Altair.
She does.
She's older than him.
She does.
This is true. This is very true.
It's also sexier as well. But the less we say about that, the better. Assassin's Creed will never end. Valhalla is keeps going. I'm looking forward to wrapping up Eivor's story.
Certainly does.
And I'm excited to see what Assassin's Creed... Because Ubisoft have been very quiet this year. They've been getting a lot of hits recently with some of their games not landing too well, some of them not being received. Some of the new ones they've announced, like X-Defiant and stuff, don't look really to be doing anything. Extraction seems to have came and went at the beginning of the year. No one's really talking about it. So yeah, I think they need a bit of a win, Ubisoft. And we know they've got the Star Wars title in the works. They've got Skull and Bones, the pirate game, which will be out one day, I'm sure.
Eventually.
We might have a Black Flag remaster before we get Skull and Bones at this point, which would be the biggest irony. But yeah, some final news stories for the week, just to wrap out the show, gentlemen. We mentioned Hideo Kojima earlier in the show, but he was actually at the Xbox Bethesda showcase as well, saying that he's going to be making a cloud-based game in partnership with Xbox Game Studios. And that got a lot of people over at PlayStation panicking that he was jumping ship and he was leaving. They've since came out, Kojima Productions, on Twitter and just clarified that, yes, after the announcement, do not fear, we are still working in collaboration with Sony Interactive Entertainment. We're not going anywhere. We know Norman Reedus accidentally discussed about starting on the second one in an interview a few weeks ago. So, Jeff, Death Stranding 2, do you think it needs to happen? Or would you rather a new IP from this guy?
I would probably say new game. I don't think it necessarily needs a sequel. Love the game as it was, but I'm quite happy for it to sort of end there. Yeah, I don't necessarily think it needs another one, to be fair, but I'm more than happy to play it if Kojima wants to make one, obviously.
does what you can do what he wants. He's one of the few rare people in the industry who can go
right.
to anyone and just say, "I've got an idea," and people will throw money at him because
That's
of
it.
the name.
Just one of those guys. You can make what he wants, call it what he wants. The game can be about anything he wants, and I'm buying it. It just there's your money.
There's your money. And
I'd much rather see him kind of creating new properties, because like that is kind of an issue we have with like the industry in general. Like the birth of new properties is a hell of a lot slower than it was previous generations, right?
I'm kind of the view where I think with him coming through quite a awkward relationship with Konami, finally getting set out on his own, and now all the any sort of creative limitations have basically been removed from him. Yeah. So I can't see him wanting to just keep churning out Death Stranding 2, Death Stranding 3, Death Stranding 4. The sort of guy is, I think he'll just want to go spread his net as wide as he can, constantly create new IP that are different from anything else out there. I just think that he is that sort of person.
Yeah. And like I said, he'll be able to do it. I can see Kojima over the next decade. I can see his game studio just working on 2 or 3 games at a time under his banner, and yeah, he'll just make money from it. That's the case. I could see a Death Stranding 2 being worked on at the same time as he does his Xbox One. And there's also that rumor, I think Overdose is the rumored horror game that he's apparently working on. So he might have 3 things in the works at the moment. And like I said, the well of money is surely unlimited when it comes to his brand recognition and his name. So interesting stuff going on at Kojima Studios, but good to know that he's not jumped ship from PlayStation. I didn't think he ever would. Again, as a brand new third-party business, why would you restrict yourself to one or the other when you can have it all?
He was never on the PlayStation ship. He just happened to Sony basically funded one game. Now Microsoft are funding one game. That's just how it's probably going to work. Yeah,
certainly is. Everyone has to be locked down right now. If we've seen anything of all the acquisitions from Microsoft and Bethesda going and Blizzard and stuff, I can understand why people are a bit nervous. Any kind of time a deal's locked in now, you gotta ask the question: is it console exclusive? Is it locked in?
I think Kojima's safe again. Going back to the Konami stuff, I think he won't want that sort of oversight like hanging over him. I think he'll want to stay independent and he can have full creative control.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Right, final 2 stories for the week, gentlemen. A PlayStation 5 Pro controller has apparently been rumoured in the works, with removable sticks, paddles, and much, much more. As someone personally who's never really been a big Xbox player, and I know they have a very fancy setup for their Pro controllers, does this do anything for you? What about you, Rob? Pro controller?
It's just not really made for me. I'm not at that kind of level of game and kind of intensity which I can justify a Pro controller. I'm just sticking kind of standard model.
That'll do the job. What about you, Jeff? Special platinum button on your controller do it for you?
I'm quite happy with what I've got as well, to be honest. The standard controller's the perfect controller for me. No reason to change it.
Yeah, I mean,
100% agree.
The DualSense
I can see the
fantastic.
benefit. I can see the benefit to esports players and stuff, but for me, I'm happy.
It just feels so comfortable. I mean, I remember when I came to yours, Chris, before I had a PS5 yet, and it was the first time I'd seen the console and held the pad. And at first I thought, it's a bit big. But like you always say, your fingers adjust, they grow somehow. But no, it just feels so... It feels so good.
It's weird to pick up a DualShock 4 now after using the DualSense. Like the DualShock 4, I never had issues with comfort on at all.
It feels
back to it, feels small.
It feels horrible.
Just go pick up a...
I wouldn't go that far, but it's...
Look at this tiny one.
Wow.
It's actually a stress.
I mean, I've got a DualSense on my DualShock on my desk.
Yeah, the further back you go, it's crazy. It's when I bought the PlayStation. I got the PlayStation Classic for Christmas last year, and they have the original PlayStation 1 controllers remade in them, so without the dual sticks, the analog sticks. Sorry. And just holding that, it doesn't even feel like a PlayStation controller with the wire sticking out the back and no analog sticks.
It feels so light.
It's so light and hollow inside, like you could genuinely snap the thing in two. But the DualSense is fantastic. I can see a need for a Pro controller in terms of just the absolute die-hard PlayStation fans. Of course, they're going to drop an extra 50 quid more to get this exclusive, like customizable, fancy controller. But yeah, triggers, removable triggers, flappy paddles, things like that. I don't have enough fingers or the brain capacity to actually utilise them in a game, I don't think. I'm happy with my face buttons, up, down, left and right, sticks and triggers. I'm happy for now.
I feel it would just be wasted on on me. Like the intricacies of like the
Yeah.
over engineering would just be wasted completely.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things I'll appreciate from a distance, but no necessity to have one myself, because it would probably clock in at like what's an Elite controller, like 120 quid, which
Something
is
like that,
you're pushing the board out a little bit when a controller's costing that
The
much.
price of it, it's coming at Razor Kishi money.
Ooh, don't get Richie started on that one. And then the final story of the week, everyone, just to round out, a nice little fun one here. The fantastic franchise of racing simulating, Gran Turismo. Of course, Gran Turismo 7 came out earlier this year. It's been selling absolutely millions of copies. Graphic fidelity out the roof. Cars have never looked better. And now we're getting a movie. So previously announced Gran Turismo movie adaptation has some updated details. District 9's Neil Blomkamp is directing it, so expect to see some prawns in there somewhere from that movie. And apparently it's telling a story of real life, where apparently a young lad entered a Gran Turismo competition and in partnership with Nissan to become an actual professional race driver. And he did in fact win the competition and went on to become a race driver, and that's the story that's being told within this movie. Gran Turismo, I used to play this loads as a kid, all of them, loved it. And then I think I've said to you a few times, Richie, now I'm an adult and I can drive my own car and I have a driver's license. The allure of racing games has kind of lost its spark a little bit. Do you guys feel the same?
I love
Yeah,
Gran
I'm the
Turismo.
same.
You can't drive 200 mile an hour outside, so
I can,
although
just
Yes, you
not
can.
legally.
Actually, I can't. My car doesn't go fast enough.
yeah, no, I still love Gran Turismo. Been playing it since the first one and up until the recent one. Yeah,
Did you pick up
I
7?
mean,
I did. Yeah, finished that.
if anyone's
Big
seen,
grind.
if anyone's seen our streams, they know how bad I am at racing games.
Yeah. Would you say you're better at racing games than you are in real life, Richie?
No, I reckon I could drive better in real life than I can in racing games.
That's probably for the better. So yeah, it's been a decade in the making, this movie. I don't really know how I feel about a Gran Turismo because there's no characters to kind of associate or link to. Like if they're doing the Last of Us TV show, I'm like, oh yeah, Joel, Ellie, they're getting Pedro Pascal in. It's going to be gritty. It's going to look amazing. When I think of Gran Turismo being made into a movie, and it's just cars, right? So they're going to have to create like new characters and.
Could that be a
action,
good
I
thing
guess.
though?
Yeah,
Because I
probably.
suppose there is going to be a bunch of people who are going to look at Pedro and I don't know, maybe not like him because they're so attached to Joel, or like Troy Baker's voice, for example.
Ellie.
I don't know. It is going to be strange, like you say, but it might work for the better.
I feel like it could be like the Need for Speed movie. Like Aaron Paul doesn't even remember that movie, so like I doubt anybody else really does.
Yeah,
I think I watched that on a plane.
Could be.
It's definitely a
Didn't
plane
make it
movie,
any
isn't
better.
it? Yeah.
More the destination I was heading to. But yes, we'll hear more about that no doubt in the future. It's due to hit cinemas August next year, so not too long to wait. And yeah, that'll be it for this week's show, gentlemen. That has been the biggest roundup of all the PlayStation news. Some of it more timely than others, of course. With it being our first show, we wanted to dig into all the juicy content. But yes, this show will be going live every Tuesday, right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games. Also available on your podcast preference of choice, up there in the digital clouds on podcast services. Do give us a rating, do give us a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you're kept in the loop with all of the content we bring you here at Helix Cloud Games. Like our weekly Stadia show that goes up every single Monday. Like our CloudQuest show that actually goes up for our Helix Heroes, the members of our YouTube channel. They get that every Sunday up to 6 days early, but it does drop on free feeds on a Friday, so do not worry if you can't support us that extra little bit further. You'll always get it eventually. First looks, live streams, much more, always happening. And as I said at the beginning of the show, if you want to get in with amazing like-minded gamers, jump into our Discord. It's always vibrant, always people talking over there. We'd appreciate you jumping in and sharing your thoughts. Before we round out the show, thank you once again to our two beautiful new co-hosts, Jeff and Rob, for joining us for episode 1 of Talking the PS. It's been fantastic. It's been great talking PlayStation with you fine folks. Before we do an outro, Jeff, hand over to you. Just a quick moment to let people know what you're up to on your channel and where they can find you, more importantly.
Oh yeah. Well, as you can see, I'm Platinum Jangus. So yeah, if you're into trophy hunting, all that good stuff, give me a look. Taking requests through my Discord, any social media. If you want your list reviewing, which is done through PSN profiles, that way we get all the juicy stuff, all the information to have a good look at. So yeah, get yourselves involved, and yeah, I look forward to having a chat with you.
Fantastic stuff. And Rob, you don't have a content creators channel set up as of now.
No, I don't have anything
to
to
tell us about
plug.
in your life, just to round out?
Give me a few weeks. I'll see how I can plug some stuff.
See what we can do.
Yeah.
Did you up to much this weekend?
The sad thing is, no. That's
No.
I'm upgrading my PC.
Zero plans.
Yeah, that's the life at the moment. Upgrading the PC and walking dogs.
Video game time now. Elden Ring time.
Ooh,
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah.
Is that you starting Elden Ring now?
No, I'm 50 hours in, but I still don't feel like I've scratched the surface. Yeah, I've beaten a couple of bosses, just still trying to get good, the usual stuff. But
You
it's
gotta get good.
yeah,
That is a
it's
big
just
one.
it's so big, crazy. Yeah.
That is a big one. And Richie, rounding out, over to you. Tell our lovely audience what we discussed on this week's CloudQuest, if you can remember.
Okay, on this, well, we recorded it last night. We were going through a roundup of Summer Games Fest. We jumped back into our predictions to see how well we did. Talked about what shows we like, what games we're most excited for. It's a good show. You should go watch it.
You certainly should. And again, our Helix Heroes, who can support us from as little as 99p, get that up to 6 days early right now, alongside exclusive stickers, badges, and access in the chat. So we appreciate you all the more. But that's been it. Talking the PS, episode 1. It's in the bag. It's in the can. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching this week. My name's been Chris.
I've been Richie.
I've been Jeff.
And I've been Rob.
We've been Helix Cloud Games, everyone. Have a great week, and remember, play it whatever makes you the happiest. We'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Goodbye.